cats and kittens. Welcome to this week's episode of House of Blurs Presents. There will be spoilers. And as you can tell by that intro, we're going to be talking about
Tiger King.
Yeah, because everybody's pretty much watching it. And if you haven't watched it,
take the time now to stop this video or podcast.
Yeah, totally not a video, but cool.
And go check it out.
So here's the thing. It is not, this great TV watching experience by any means. It is a lot of like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah, it's if you love just messy TV, jumping from drama to drama to drama.
Facts. It's not winning no Emmys. Ain't nobody winning no Emmys on it. But in this time period where there's not a lot to do and you can't really take your ass outside to do much,
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this
what else are you doing with your time?
Basically, ain't doing shit else, might as well. Tiger King talks about, first of all, I didn't know who Joe Exotic was.
I'd never heard of Joe Exotic before this documentary.
Neither did I. And the person who told me to like check it out, or the first person I seen watching it, it's a little bit older than me, but they were just like, yeah, it's about Joe Exotic. And I was like, who the fuck is Joe Exotic? Like,
and it's like, when was this a thing?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty current with the times.
So all this was going on though, like I think the late 80s, very early 90s, what it was. And you got all these crazy, Joe Exotic is a crazy redneck gay singer from Oklahoma.
He has a beautiful voice. You have to admit it. Like when I first heard him singing, I was like, are you serious right now? Like,
you know what? His music wasn't too.
You can't
I've heard worse on the radio today, so I'm not even gonna act like it's like.
I feel like I legitimately listen to it. He has a wonderful voice.
Is it on Tidal? We should probably check that at some point. That'd be interesting to know. But so he's got this whole, exotic cat farm, and I've known in the past that it's legal. It was legal. I don't know now at this point if it's how legal it is to own big cats. Like in Jersey was one of the states where you could legally own large cats.
He is not on Tidal.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Sorry.
Probably on SoundCloud. YouTube. So there are, I think Nevada was another one, because I think Mike Tyson had large cats.
He had a tiger, I believe.
Yeah. So there are places where that was a thing, where people own like large cats, like tigers and lions, like that. And you had to have enough property. So he had it, and basically he was running a freaking makeshift petting zoo. And it was what it was. Now,
who doesn't want to play with a baby tiger?
I would love to play with a baby tiger. I'm not even gonna lie.
Like I'd probably give him my
Now his park admission was like $300 fucking dollars.
Yeah, that's wild. Who's paying for the fact that means that people with money were into this.
And those people didn't look like they had money. Like a lot of his customers looked like they was Po. Like they looked like Po folk from Oklahoma. Like they weren't like pulling. They didn't look like
you're pulling $900 out.
For your whole family to pay $300 a person
to play with a tiger for 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was nuts, first off. His park prices were extravagant. And there was that one dude who went multiple times, like in a couple days. So, I guess if that's your family vacation, that's what folk do with their income tax.
That's what you're doing with your stipend?
Yeah, going to Joe's park. So, he's got this crazy-ass park. Now, he is definitely over the top, flamboyant, and it just starts off and you're like, okay, this guy's owning these big cats.
Yeah, that's what you think it's going to be about. You think it's about him and his cats. Like, something happens with a tiger.
Yeah, you know what?
Not at all.
I watched the first 2 episodes, and I was just like, I'm not watching this no more. And I stopped, because I was like, this is stupid. This is corny. And then you were like, no, you got to keep going. Because did you get to when the murder thing happens? Like, murder. Like, there was murder?
Yeah, it's like, how?
So I went back and watched the trailers, and I was like, holy shit, this is like, there's a murder plot involved in this? And then enters his arch nemesis, Carol fucking Baskins.
Carol Baskins.
Carol fucking Baskins. First off, if you have not seen the memes are better than the show by far. Like, all of them. You just need to watch the show so the memes make sense, so you can chuckle along with the memes, because the memes are the best part of this whole freaking catastrophe. Anyway, so Carol Baskins, and this was the interesting thing to me. Because this broad is running an animal sanctuary, is what she's calling it, saying she's rescuing tigers. And you have people literally showing up talking about somehow she's the Mother Teresa of big cats.
Sanctuaries don't.
Hello. She's literally doing the exact same thing he does. And truthfully, his park was better.
Yeah, I was going to say he had a lot. The quality of his park was.
Yes, like the cages he had his tigers in, it just had more space. she had these little ass cages with like the way they stuck their heads in the water, like to feed the water feeders to eat and drink in her park. I was just like, how does anyone seeing this and thinking
this is okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Like her shit looked like some makeshift someone's backyard trailer park. But she was in Florida. So
and honestly, it's not too probably normal thing in Florida.
Florida and Oklahoma, man, I tell you, crazy. They hate each other, and she's out here starting this website and all these things, and trying to bring down these people who are profiting off of owning these big cats and these wild cats and stuff like that.
It's just, I don't understand where she felt she had the right to.
You know what? I can see why she felt like she had the right, but the bigger question mark for me is the people who went to her park, who like big up to her, who's like, oh, she's doing this great thing. Like, they're the fucking idiots. Like, she's literally doing the same. She's charging you to come see cats that you can't even pet.
Oh yeah.
So I want to know how much her park admission was.
So you're just mad that she's not exploiting them. Is that what it is?
That's allegedly, but she's still making fucking money, a shit ton of money off the cats. So these two are going at it, and they hate each other to the point where Joe has like got dummies out there that he's shooting at, and he's putting like her name on it. He's dressing them up as her. He started all these videos. Angry he was. Why didn't he just ignore her?
Like, honestly, it's like she got under that one nerve in his skin, and he just never let it go.
Yeah, for real. Now, mind you, all this is going on. These two are feuding each other, but Joe has got like 5 husbands. So not only was he making disc records, raising tigers in a petting zoo, he was a polygamist. And the funny fucking thing was, this dude was like, I'm not gay. And then when he told and explained how he asked him, he was like, so what the fuck did he use? What did he say? When you're watching what did he ask him when you're watching a porn? Like, who are you looking at, the guy or the girl or some shit like that?
No, he was like, if you're watching porn, are you watching the guy with the big thing? Or are you watching the ones with the guy with the big thing or the guy with the little thing? And he's like, well, of course you want to watch the ones with the guy with the big thing. And he's like, so you're not that straight.
Yeah, so like he's out here turning dudes out.
Yeah.
Like, who said they weren't gay to start with.
And his eyebrow piercing was holding on by a thread. I was just like, wow.
It was a mess.
It was crazy when they go in and talk about how people with animals like that tend to, I guess, attract people in a predatory way. Because people just love animals. So
then that was a whole nother like thing around like, I think it was like episode 3 or 4 they kind of talked about how it wasn't just really these two weirdos. This was a thing. Like all of these big cat having people all were a little off and hella eccentric, including like the people who ended up. We're gonna backtrack this. So Carol's crazy ass allegedly killed her husband.
Allegedly, I believe that she did it.
Here's an interesting twist, because I'm all for the Carol fucking Baskins killed her husband memes and Carol did it stuff. But I saw this great post on Twitter the other night that like kind of broke it down a little bit, and it talks about how everyone is out here talking about some free Joe is all pro Joe and hating on Carol. But when you really think about it, like, she was 19 when she met her 40-year-old fucking predator husband. Because let's talk about this guy, okay? He's 40 years old. 19-year-old girl's walking down the fucking street, and he rolls up on her and says, hey, you want to get in my car? And at first she was like, fuck no, I'm not getting in your car. She kept going, and he drove back around, like, she said like 3 or 4 times. And then he finally pulls up with a gun, talking about here, you can hold this gun on me? What kind of fucking creep?
I would not. Like, what if that gun didn't have bullets, first of all? Like, she didn't check it, like...
And then she said she got in the car, they rode around talking, and then he went back. Like, she went home with him and slept with him that night. This dude was clearly a weirdo to begin with. Now, they had his, like, wife and his kids on there, like, his first wife.
That was the crazy thing to me, is that his wife and his kids were just like, oh, he was such a good person. Like, he left y'all for this 19-year-old child. Your
husband was out picking up 19. Like, this probably wasn't... And that was the thing. So... Part of when they were talking about him is that he had a thing for, he was a ladies' man. He was this dude who had all this money, and he was constantly taking trips like Costa Rica and doing things. You looked at him, you didn't know he had money, but he evidently had money.
He's a millionaire.
Yeah, like millionaire type deal. So he's out here cruising the streets picking up chicks, young chicks at that, and no one thought that was weird. Like, it was never really mentioned in the documentary, but it wasn't until that post that I was like, maybe you have a valid point. So we don't know what the hell was really going on in that relationship, but they portrayed it as he was like wanting to leave her because she was crazy. All these people are fucking crazy, but he like disappears, and it doesn't like they set it up to where she tried to, make it seem like he had dementia and he was going crazy right before he disappeared.
She was smart about it.
She wasn't the dumbest about it. The
this
thing
is like Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Elderly Gone Girl.
I haven't watched Gone Girl in a long time. We should watch Gone Girl. So on the next episode, if there will be spoilers, we're going to talk about Gone Girl. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix. If it's not, just find it somewhere. It's a great movie starring Ben Affleck. Did he produce it?
I believe
so. He was on the creative team for that movie. It's an amazing movie. And that's like, what was the one with the girl on the train?
Yes. That's when all those movies with the girl.
Ben Affleck. I feel like Ben and Casey Affleck were doing a lot of shit right at that point. Because, what else came out? The one with Casey Affleck and Morgan Freeman.
I don't know when that
You know what I'm talking about, though, where the little girl went missing and it turned out Morgan Freeman had her?
No.
You've never watched that?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know Morgan Freeman.
No, it's not recent. I mean, it's like it was around the time Gone Girl came out.
Oh, yeah.
So there's this movie with totally off the topic of Tiger King, because as you can tell, Tiger King is just fucking batshit crazy white people with tigers. But anyway, so the movie with Casey Affleck and Morgan Freeman, and they were cops, and this little girl goes missing, and her mom was like a drug addict. They were looking for a little girl, and I think they kind of tried to set it up, and Morgan Freeman was like a retired cop, and I forget how the fuck he got involved or what his connection was to this little girl, but in the end of it, they ended up finding out Morgan Freeman is the one who had her. Like, him and his wife took little girl to this cabin, like, upstate, and they were, like, gonna raise her until they got caught.
Dang,
in the end. Yeah, it was a really good movie, though. So, check that one out. We'll figure out the name of it by the end of the podcast. So, anyway, Carol Baskin's husband goes missing. She fucked up because she went in there and did that whole switcheroo with the wills.
Yeah, that she made it so obvious. I think she just stopped caring, if we're being honest. Yeah. I think she stopped caring to pretend. She was just like, y'all can't prove it, so I'm not gonna tell you I did it, but I'm gonna collect my money and just go on about my day. And
it wasn't like the cops, like, and they said he's under the septic tank. Those cops didn't search. They didn't look very hard for him. And they were, there was a running joke. She fed him to the tigers and shit like that. And it's just
I'm not going through tiger. You're not paying me enough.
Nah. And then they had mentioned how, like, tigers, the stomach acid in tiger stomachs are so acidic it would break down bones and shit anyway, so it wouldn't be like normal cat shit where they would just like shit out
the
a ring,
yeah,
or some teeth.
Like, nah, he's gone. So
yeah, he's gone.
They're like, we're not even gonna waste our time,
basically. So
which sucks, but at the same time,
And I didn't realize from the beginning, like, when you start watching it, Joe was making calls from jail, so I was like, is he in jail? Is he not in jail? What the fuck is he in jail for? As he's like, the one fucked up thing in this was when somebody burnt down his alligator house, or that building that had all their film in it, because he was actually trying to film. They were doing a reality TV show and they were going to put it out.
And they killed all the animals in there.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked. That was pretty shit. They burnt down. They killed like a bunch of his alligators and whatnot. Yeah. That was trash.
That sucks. It's always like, animals ain't do nothing. They ain't asked to be there.
No, not at all. And for the most part, now...
He and the thing is, these people really kind of cared about their animals.
Yeah, I guess, obviously wild animals don't belong in captivity. He had a few valid points, though. Like, if he had set this up as like a catch and release thing, maybe, but I don't know how you could hand raise tigers and then release them back into areas where they've never been.
And then expect them to hunt by themselves and not be taken care of. But like you said, low-key, if it was like a kind of, you put them on an actual sanctuary, at the rate they were breeding these tigers, you could easily be saving endangered species.
For real. Because he was breeding them like crazy. But then they said they had like dug up something where they found a bunch of...
That part was crazy to me.
Dead tigers.
Yeah, I turned it off. Actually, I don't think I made it past that part. Because I was like, oh no, I don't even want to know where this is going to go. That sucks. Because
I guess there was obviously some shady shit going on about like crossbreeding species and shit like that. So you had problems. Or if you're going to get a tiger or two that you can't control, you're going to have to they put them down, is what I'm going to assume that they did. Old girl got her arm ripped off. So one of his workers who was hella loyal had her arm ripped off.
I don't care.
And this bitch went back to work 5 days later?
I don't care how much I love this animal. It could be my best friend. I'm not going back to work 5 days after I just got my arm ripped off. I don't even know how to operate life yet with only one. I'm definitely not going back to raise the tiger.
And she was so loyal to him, which was nuts. But that was the crazy part about it. But I mean, all of it was crazy. It was not a not crazy part about it, to be real. So anyway, Joe ends up going to jail for an attempted murder plot on Carol. Paid Like $3,000 for some dude to go out of state to kill this woman?
Yeah. And wasn't the guy an FBI?
First off, the weird fucking trucker dude who was undercover, where the f did he come from?
Like, how do you think that someone is an assassin? What makes you look at a person and say, you know what? I feel like they kill people.
This is the wildest hillbilly shit ever. And then, like, by this point, you're realizing these are real people. And it's crazy. So, anyway, again, it's not going to win any Emmys. It's not, like, some great docu. It's not Making a Murderer, something like that. But it's
no awards, but
it's worth watching just to be able to laugh at the memes with the rest of them. So that makes it entertaining. Just a little bit of connection. It's a short series, not super long, not a lot.
There is a new episode coming out. As of right now, we're filming this April 6th. So as of right now, there's a new episode that's gonna come. They're continuing on with this in some fucking way. No.
Or where are they now? Basically,
possibly because they did say that this did take.
Yeah. Okay, and that was the other thing. So Carol ended up suing him for copyright infringement after she got remarried to her new husband.
The thing is, shout out to Joe for being such a savage. Like, this man did not care. Like, he made a whole diss track to Carol Baskin. Had a lookalike of her just feeding her husband to a tiger. I was like, this man did not care. He was harassing
gave zero fucks. He did harass the fuck out of her. So
it's like, yeah, I would have sued him too.
he did go a little bit far with it. So she ended up winning like $1 million in this defamation copyright lawsuit or whatever. And so that he didn't lose his stuff, he put his park in somebody else's name.
Mm-hmm.
To avoid having to
I'm
pay her.
Stupid? I know that's in my name. I was like, bro, you were ready for this just in case. Which I can't lie. If you ever feel like you might need to knock somebody out, just put everything that you care about in someone's name.
That is completely absurd. So that's pretty much what you're gonna get with the craziness that is Tiger King. Again, it's worth killing some time just to be able to laugh at the memes with everyone else. That's really entertaining. So, moving on from there, what we really enjoyed, the real enjoyment
of this quarantine,
yes, has been Dracula.
It's a 5-part limited series on Netflix.
Yes, it was in conjunction with Netflix and the BBC. So, if you enjoyed any of the other, first off, if you're not watching BBC miniseries, you should be. You're missing out. Sherlock was absolutely amazing. Luther was absolutely amazing.
What's crazy to me is you can always identify a BBC series by the beginning title screen. It's always that extra long, just music playing. Reminds me of Downton Abbey. Yeah.
Which you haven't finished.
I know, look.
And you haven't watched the movie. You need to get on it. You need to stop bullshitting.
One of these podcast guys, you're going to hear it.
That you finally that you finally finished Downton Abbey. Amazing cast. It's only 3 episodes long. So, again, short watch if you're just wanting to kind of start off your binge watch. Or if you're like me and can't focus on shit, because that's a problem I've been having lately. Like, it's hard for me to sit down and, like, finish, like, start something and, like, finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Be it a TV show, movies, video games. I'll start it and then I'm just like, squirrel. And start doing something else.
Yeah, and it's like once you put it down, it's kind of hard to pick it back up.
It is, because I literally just finished The Hunters, and I started that when it came out. About a month or so ago. So, yeah, that's any indication. But anyway, so back to Dracula. Amazing cast, number one. If you have ever watched the Bram Stoker Dracula movie with Keanu Reeves from the early 90s.
Is that the Dracula 2000 movie?
I think it's just called Dracula. I think it's just called Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
So, no, I think Dracula 2000 was something separate. Which I need to go back and we need to make some corrections from the last podcast. As well, some correction notes. Because I called Stormy the entire episode. And that's not her name. Her name is Storm Reed, not Stormy. So, correction on that. But anyway, so Dracula, 3 episodes long, amazing fucking cast. First episode kind of goes back to early, like Dracula, and you get him
in Transylvania. He was still in Transylvania.
Yes. Get the dude.
Teddy.
What's his name, Teddy?
Was it Teddy?
Was he related to John? He was related to Jonathan in some way. If you don't know any Dracula lore, you can jump into this show not knowing anything and you can just enjoy it. But if you do, and you are familiar with Dracula lore, you'll thoroughly enjoy seeing how they reimagined some things. So you get him in the beginning with the Brides of Dracula. Well, he mentions him you get that this dude and
yeah, you get like Dracula's just mad old.
Yeah.
And slowly, the longer this guy stays in his house, he realizes he's getting older and Dracula's getting younger.
Yes. And you've got these nuns talking to this guy, trying to figure out what the fuck happened. And then the head nun, who we don't know who she is yet, you're like, dang, this chick is pretty, like, legit. She's not a regular just nun in some convent somewhere.
Yeah, like, she already knows about these vampires before this is happening.
Yeah, so she's trying to figure out what's going on. Episode 2 kind of jumps further into it. And by this point, we know who the nun is. So she's Agatha Van Helsing.
Mm-hmm. If you know anything about the Van Helsings, then you understand why this was such a woo moment in the series.
What? Okay, I see what we're doing. We made Van Helsing a woman. We get the Van Helsing tie-in. And she wasn't per se hunting Dracula, she was trying to learn about the vampires. Like, she was trying to
be prepared. Yeah,
just in case. What was going on. There was that scene where he was on the outside of the gate and she was on the inside, and she was just like taunting the fuck out of him, and
I was like, she's wild.
Verbally sparring with him was nuts because he couldn't come through because and that's one of the great things about this show is kind of goes through different vampire myths, and one of them was vampires can't be invited in, so
they have to be invited.
They have to be invited in. He couldn't get through the gates to the convent, so. She's in there posted up just talking mad shit because she know he can't get. And I'm just sitting here waiting like, yo, we about to find out that's not real.
Yeah. Yeah. Each time I was like, what's going to be fake? What's not?
Yeah. I'm like, wait.
The other thing about the show, it pulls no punches. Because like 2 seconds later, he's like, you know what? I can't cross through it. But these wolves can. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. He was sitting mad shit at them nuns. That was a great episode 2.
Or no, that was after he got in. When he was like, I can't touch you, because they all had their crosses.
Yeah. And so we also learned like crosses are a barrier for him. Episode 2, absolutely fucking phenomenal. Into episode 1, episode 2, phenomenal. Episode 2 is also where we got, because at the end of episode 1, they put him down, where they were on that boat. That was that whole fucking weird boat shit. Like, the start of episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2, he gets on a boat.
So we see...
It was actually... The thing is, this all took place in 2 days. Because that was right after. He just went somewhere else.
On the boat?
Yeah.
There was a time jump there.
No, he went straight from the boat to... If anything, it wasn't that far.
So that's another thing about the show. It does do a time jump, because episode 3...
is definitely in the future.
It's definitely in the future, yeah. It's current modern times, because they end up finding him. He comes back... And they stick him in a bunker. And we see he kills spoiler alert, obviously. If you didn't know the fucking was getting spoiled by now, then whatever. But he killed Agatha Van Helsing. Before he's made comments about
blood is lives.
Blood is lives. That is the defining point through this show. And then come episode 3, we discover what that means. So he is able to...
Episode 2.
We find out that when he drinks someone's blood and bites them, he's able to see like their entire fucking lineage in life. So he knows your past, knows all the shit you've been through, your aunt, like,
and everything family. That you know. He basically
Yeah, he knows you. So we get to this modern time and we see this woman who looks like Agatha, but then we learn it's not her. It was what Agatha was. What?
It was like 500.
She said it's like her great-grandfather's.
It's like her great aunt.
Some shit like that. But whatever. So it's another Van Helsing. But it's played by the same woman. So he was like, you look really familiar, but I liked her better or whatever. So they put him down in this bunker. And his ass is down there just like learns Wi-Fi like he's absorbing shit. Like,
it was funny when he was like, why is there a toilet?
He's like, why do I have a toilet down here?
He's like, I'm a vampire. I don't.
And... when she was just like, oh, so, women's rights. And he was like, what are these rights? What are these rights?
No one has rights.
Yeah, he's like, no one has rights. And she's like, what the? Like, she's telling him these things. So then he had access to the internet. Like, he hacked their Wi-Fi, the internet, fucking got him a lawyer. He got himself a fucking attorney, hired a lawyer. It was like, oh, yeah, people have rights. So I have rights. And y'all got to release me type shit. That was wild. I was just like, no, the fuck, he didn't just do that.
I was like, Dracula got money? Where did he? Who's got Dracula's credit card? Who's his bank?
I mean, does he really need it? I mean, he just fucking bite people and take their shit. Really?
Oh.
Because, I mean, the lawyer, he ended up, he was feeding off his lawyer. Because his lawyer was in the car turning into a fucking, like, old thing or whatever. But, so other characters that we get from Dracula's lore is we do get Jonathan Harker. Was that his name? So Jonathan, who was the character Keanu Reeves played in the Dracula movie. We get him. Mm-hmm. And he was in love with Lucy in the original movie. Lucy is this young debutante who rich and whatever, but Dracula ends up turning her. And in the old movies and shit, she started feeding on kids, is what she did. Like, she went crazy. For some reason, started feeding on kids and ended up having to put her down because she was out here just, like, murdering all these children or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Modern day Lucy, young black girl, very pretty. She really looks familiar.
She reminds me of the girl from Beyond the Lights. Go.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of her, like, full name. But, yeah. They do look very similar. But... yeah, they do look very familiar. It's very similar. Young debutante out here, modern day kind of club girl living her life and just enjoying things. We find out she's Lucy. And I was like, okay, that parallel fit really well. Modernizing the story like that.
In what way? What do you mean?
Because, I mean, obviously it's not the fucking 1700s, so
yeah.
You're gonna bring this.
Okay, so
you're
you mean
gonna
just about how
this
he
character.
met her and everything. Okay.
Yeah, how they met her. She's this young girl who's carefree in the clubs and just doesn't have any kind of fear of death.
Anything at all.
This Lucy gets turned, and...
when she gets turned, it's one of the craziest things I'd ever seen. I didn't expect it whatsoever.
So this is the one thing I did not like about the way this went, because, again, the original Lucy turned, and then, like, she just went
She's
wild.
gonna start killing kids.
Yeah, she went wild, started killing kids, shit like that. Like, but she was normal for a while. This Lucy, he turns her and she dies, but he doesn't. The fact that he didn't go in there and get her after he turned her, knowing she was gonna die, he's like left her there for her family to have a funeral, and her family had a fucking funeral, and they
cremated her.
They cremated her. And he told him, he's like, don't let them burn you. And it was like, but if you knew she couldn't stop them from cremating her, then why the fuck did you let that happen? I didn't
understand why he didn't just turn her and then take her with him.
Yeah, like why? Because he clearly was infatuated with her like this whole time. Like they had been meeting up for a while and hanging out and talking and shit like that. So this had been going on for a little bit, and then he just left her there after he turned her. So her family ends up fucking having a funeral and they cremated her, but she's not fully dead. Like she's in transition to a vampire. So she's cognitive of her surroundings, but she's
being burned alive, essentially.
Basically. Burned the fuck alive. And then she comes back and she's fucking burnt the fuck up. Not like nice vampire things where you turn into a vampire and then you heal and you're forever young and beautiful. No, this bitch was a raisin.
Disgusting.
It
was gross.
It was. And then poor Jonathan, who was in love with her, has to kill her.
And he has to kiss her, first of all. Before that, let's talk about how that was gross and unnecessary.
That was kind of unnecessary. I felt so fucking bad for her at that point. And he just was like, what was he going to keep her around looking like that? Was that Dracula's plan?
Ew, yeah, he was like, I don't mind. It's cool. I've seen worse. I mean, he lived during the bubonic plague, so, I mean... he was just
I didn't like how they did her. I didn't like how they did her like that. But a couple things that we didn't realize in episode 3, because this iteration of the Van Helsing lady was dying of cancer. Mm-hmm. Because he went to bite her, and he threw up the blood. Because
it was poison.
It was poisonous to him because she was dying. Another, I guess, thing in vampire lore: vampires can't drink dead blood or blood from the dying. So he was just like, okay, but he gave her a vial of his blood, or they took some of his blood because they were trying to test it and shit like that, and then he had made a comment to her about it. So then she ended up drinking it. So I'm thinking it's going to heal her. Not so much. Didn't seem to be the case. Because that final scene in episode 3 where she's like legitimately fucking dying at that point towards the end. When she jumped up on that table and fucking ripped down them curtains.
Ooh. I might not have seen this part.
What the fuck?
I kept trying to go back and rewatch this 3rd episode. I thought I had finished it.
Okay.
I thought it had ended after they killed Lucy.
No.
I thought that was the end of the episode.
No, it wasn't.
Oh my God.
So they're in this room and they're having this kind of tete-a-tete between them, and
this is officially in a there will be spoilers. So
Yeah.
now you know. Turn it off if you haven't watched Dracula yet.
They're having this conversation and she's like, what are you scared of? Like, why are you walking around here afraid? Like, coming at him kind of like her right down the order. Like, he's like, I'm not afraid. What the fuck I gotta be afraid of? And she was like, you're not living to your full, like, you're not even, you're walking around here just as scared as anybody else. And he's like, I'm not fucking scared or whatever. And she's like, okay, bet, really. So she gets up, runs across this table, tears down the curtain and lets the sunlight in. And he hits the floor and he's like screaming and shit like that. And then he realizes he's not burning up. So this whole time he thought he couldn't go in the sun. It turns out the sun doesn't fucking affect him.
Which is crazy. Actually, doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Why did it?
Because in the first episode, the only reason that Jonathan got away, or whatever his name, Teddy, the first guy, main character, the only reason he got away was because the sunlight reflected off the cross he was wearing.
So it was the cross, though. It wasn't the light. And it was a situation where she kind of explained it to him, too. You've been kind of perpetuating all of these myths for so long that you've started to believe them. And namely
placebos.
It's
a placebo.
Basically. We learned that the sun does not affect him. However, she's like dying and he's all kind of like... I don't want to say he's caught feelings or appreciative of this newfound information that he's now got. And he respects her. What he does is he gives her, I guess, some more of his blood or whatever. And he takes her into like a dream state as she's dying. And he just like sits there with her while she dies. And the question is, not the question is, but basically what they've done is they've taken Dracula and they're about to give us Dracula in 2000s. In a modern day telling of Dracula is what season 2 is going to be. You got Dracula running around here in the daylight, learning shit at an exponential rate in modern times.
You know what? I wouldn't be too mad if they just left it at this and they chose to move on to tell like a different story. Like if they had like a Frankenstein type of retelling. Like
Frankenstein could be dope.
Yeah.
But I feel like that would be done in a modern day way because Frankenstein, they're going to fuck around and it's going to involve like plastic surgery type shit. Because all this like nowadays everyone's so like wrapped up in how they look and getting plastic surgery and all this shit like that. That's what a modern day Frankenstein is gonna fucking turn around and be. It's gonna be some chick with...
See, but I don't necessarily want like a modern day Frankenstein. Like I want them to do kind of like with Dracula, how they
started off.
Basically, even if it was just like a retelling. I like this retelling of Dracula and just how they did it. Like the first 2 episodes by themselves were great.
But if you look at League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Dracula is like the only person who really doesn't age and doesn't die. So it makes sense to start with Dracula, bring it to modern day, and then just retell everything else based on a modern time frame.
Then I'd be fine if everything was just like another retelling. But I like the way that they did this. The people that worked on Dracula.
Yeah, it's really good. It's absolutely amazing. You should definitely watch it. It reminded me a lot of Penny Dreadful. I thoroughly enjoyed Penny Dreadful.
Ah, yes, it did. Indeed.
Ava Green. It's just absolutely amazing anyway. Other short docu-series to watch if you haven't checked out what's it called? Self-Made? The story
Self-Made, the lady of Madam C.J. Walker.
Yeah, the story of Madam C.J. Walker.
That's what I said.
He's the lady, Madam C.J. Walker.
I thought it was...
So there's a story of Madam C.J. Walker is on Netflix as well. That one I believe is 7 episodes. So these are fairly short series. It's not like...
Yeah, get your 3, 5, 7.
Yeah, 3, 5. There you go. Just get it in. And then you can move on to Ozark Season 3.
Ooh, yes. Ozark. We did.
So Ozark is back. We're not going to talk about that this episode. We'll talk about that in a later episode. But, so what we are watching now, and we'll talk about it. So Ozark Season 3 is back. We finished it. It's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Really good. So
10 out of 10. It's definitely getting some awards. Sweeping the awards again this year.
This was a good-ass season. Very good-ass season.
It's continuously just good, year after year.
Yes. So if you are thinking about rewatching Game of Thrones and you enjoy live tweets, check out the hashtags DemThrones and Thrones y'all on Twitter. There are some live tweets happening around 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on Twitter. So check that out. It's being done through an app called Rave, which is a pretty cool app where people can like log in and you can all watch. And you don't have to have an HBO subscription to do it, although HBO is doing free. subscriptions right now, so you can stream HBO for free at the moment and watch things that you haven't. But you don't have to have a login or subscription to use this app and then watch shows with people or catch other shows. You're supposed to be able to mirror it to your TV. I've not been able to successfully do that. It does not load for me, but some people who were in there said it did. So there's some blurs. Rewatching Game of Thrones right now. That's going on. Westworld season 3 is going on. I've already commented how I hate Dolores, so there's that.
Little Fires Everywhere is on Hulu. If you haven't checked it out, I have. I have watched a good amount of it. It's pretty good. It's definitely reminds me of Big Little Lies.
Really?
It does.
Because like I from the trailers I got Big Little Lies vibes, but I watched that first episode and I was like, I'm good. I'm not.
It does have those few moments where it's kind of like, I want to know. And Kerry Washington and Reese Witherspoon they play a big part in the directing and writing on board. And certain parts make me want to go like, I want to know which one of them wrote this.
Who to blame?
Yeah, because like Kerry Hilson, she's an artist, but like she smokes weed at times.
Kerry Washington?
Kerry Hilson. Oh my God. And literally it's because someone else kept saying Kerry Hilson. Kerry Washington. She smokes weed, and every time she smokes weed, she hits it like she's hitting crack. Like it's like, and you're watching it and you're just like, why is she doing this? Like, and it's so.
It don't seem real.
The way they try to frame it, certain things like now, because it's on episode 5, it releases weekly. It's starting to go in a way that's like, I feel like Reese Witherspoon might have had a little more say in this writing here. Like,
in certain parts. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll revisit it.
I feel like it'd be worth the watch because it'd be worth the conversation.
I am going back and I restarted. I'm doing my rewatch of Sons of Anarchy.
For the year?
Yeah.
Annually.
My annual Sons of Anarchy rewatch. I'm on like episode 5, 6. I forgot. I think it was episode 4. Episode 3 was the Funhouse episode where that young girl was raped. And all that shit was going on. And the episode after that was, I believe, where Gemma had got raped. And that was one right. And I forgot how, like, that just changed the fucking trajectory of everything on that show. And then just Opie. Seeing Opie again. And honestly, so episode 5 is where we get Opie. Like, we got him in, like, I think episode 2 or 3. We saw him.
This is from the beginning, correct?
Yeah, season 1, episode 5. We get full on Opie, him and his wife, in episode 5. And I'm just like, am I gonna make it through this shit?
Am I gonna make it through this heartbreak yet again?
Myself again? Like, it took me years to get over Opie's death. That was one of the deaths that impacted me the most on a TV show, was that. And I'm just like, I'm about to put myself through this again. And it's nuts. But we gonna work it out. We'll see how far we get to it.
We'll get through it.
Yeah, what else you watching?
I also started watching the originals as of late. I finally broke in and watched the originals.
If you've never watched the originals, highly recommend the originals. It's on, the entire series is now on Netflix. You can watch it. Now, for those who don't know, the originals was a spinoff of
The Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries was also a good show post season 3. The first 3 seasons, it was very much a teeny bopper CW show. Like, it wasn't that great because they were in high school. And it was pre-real vampires, werewolf type shit. But after season 3, it picked up a lot. But they ended it because they had positioned that show. They were in high school when it started. And then once they became vampires, they are aging in real life. Like, you can't... They became vampires when they were like seniors in high school. So you can't...
keep having these people that are actually aging.
Yeah. Play those and some of them was starting to show. My girl Caroline was starting to look older. But anyway, the originals is set in New Orleans. So what do you think? What do you think of it so far?
I really like it. It draws you in right from episode 1. Right there after episode 1, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep watching this. I'm very invested in the Michelson family.
Another show that just made me there's so many fucking tear jerking ass moments in that show.
There are so many. And the thing is, I think also because of the fact that, you've watched it, and I've come in multiple times, and it's like I've seen stuff that's happened. And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm like, sense. Dang, how did these people get here? Yeah. This is gonna suck. Like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I've heard about this. I've heard that this is coming. So I'm watching these people get attached, and I'm just like, And
then you're getting attached to these people, and you're like, wait a minute, I know
you're gonna die. Like old girl, the blonde, the wait or the bartender that Marcellus and Marcellus and Klaus keep going back and forth over. I'm like, man, I know she's gonna die. So I just got to the part where I guess where Davina died.
Davina died the first time. Davina asked you coming back anyway. So.
Yeah, first time. Or where Marcellus thinks she's dead.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oof, I know this is all gonna suck.
Yeah. So the music on the show was absolutely amazing. This was what introduced me to Banks, was this song. Because You Ought to Know was on, I believe, the episode where some shit happened with what's her face? The blonde. Anyway, so the bartender chick, the one you talking about, yeah. Like, so this show has amazing music to it. Like, I realized going back, like, there's a lot of songs that I found off of this show. So the originals, definitely worth going back and checking out. So other than TVs, because obviously there's a lot of TV shows and watching as of right now, we're also playing Resident Evil 3. So Resident Evil 3 just was released, the remake, and
it's really good. I really liked it so far. I've played it about twice and getting halfway through on both. Had to go back. I feel like it's gonna be a short game.
So the original gameplay was only about 13, 14 hours long. And at that time, so the original was released in like 99. At that time, that was a long ass, like that was a lot of time to spend on a video game. Now you've got games that are 100 plus hours in and I still haven't platinumed that bitch yet. A la Death Stranding.
I was like, you're projecting.
Yeah, no. I'm like 130 hours into Death Stranding and I haven't platinumed it yet. And there's still a good chunk of things to do. I'm gonna have finished the story, but I'm just working on side shit though. But 13 hours back in the day was a big game. And it's like, I've watched people now and it's like, everyone's just like, oh, I beat it already. And I'm like, I'm gonna take my time with it because this was the game that made me a gamer. This set of Capcom games, it was this, Omnimushu Warlords are the ones, and Devil May Cry were when I became like a gamer. Like I played video games before that, but these were my quintessential, most influential games for me. And they've all gotten redone. So I am thoroughly happy with this remake. It's absolutely amazing. Minus Carlos's hair. I want to know who the fuck to blame for Carlos's hair.
Who asked for that shaggy mess?
What the fuck? Why? Like, there were certain things that just didn't need to be changed. So I'm glad that if you pre-ordered it, then you got Carlos's original hairstyle and you got Jill's original outfit. Although they turned Jill's original outfit from a skirt to a skirt, which I've seen people complaining about. It's like, what the fuck? Are you trying to look up Jill's skirt?
It's like, why do you care?
Basically.
Get over it.
Exactly. Like, and honestly,
who noticed that?
Twitter. So... But when you put it on her, like, I don't even like it. Like, it don't even look like the original outfit. So I'm just like, fuck it, literally just run around in her new school shit.
In her jeans.
Yeah, it's more practical. So, Resident Evil 3 Remake is out. You can pick it up if you still have a GameStop near you that's doing curbside delivery. You can order it online, pick it up in store, and or you can run into another retailer or just get it digitally because you do have the Resistance. I bought it digitally so we could game share at home. So, this month's free games with PlayStation Plus are Uncharted 4 and which we already own. So this month's free games on PlayStation Plus are Uncharted 4 and A Thief's End and Dirt Rally 2.0. So if you need a good co-op game, Dirt Rally 2.0, multiplayer game, and then just Uncharted if you haven't played Uncharted. So if you're not familiar with this, PlayStation Plus, you get at least 2 free games every month. And you can just add them to your library. So if you don't have space on your hard drive, just add them to your library. Get back to them when you get back to them, but you own it. So when they go away, you already own the game as long as you have PlayStation Plus. So this year's been pretty good games. If you missed out on, I think actually as of the recording of this, you still have the option to get Shadow of the Colossus and Sonic. I believe that goes away on the 7th or the 8th. So get it while you can. I have not finished an Uncharted game.
Me either. I think I've only played Drake's Unfortune.
I started Drake. I did the very first one when it first came out. Didn't finish it, and I started Drake's Fortune. My backlog of games right now. I keep thinking I'm putting a dent in it and clearing it out, and then I go and buy something else because I just bought The Last Guardian.
Good thing we got nothing else to do.
Yay! Literally, but I'm going to be streaming The Last Guardian, my first playthrough on Twitch. So you can find me on Twitch, Nicole May Cry. Check it out. I've got my Horizon Zero Dawn stuff playthroughs on there right now. But yeah, I'm going to do Last Guardian later on. What else you got? Anything else? What are you playing?
Nothing else. Resident Evil I feel like Resident Evil was one of the first games in a while I've been able to just sit down and play. Okay. So that's all I've been focusing on.
Do you do any of the career stuff on MLB?
Yeah, that's all I play. That's really all there is to play. I don't play just games.
Okay, so you do the career and
Road to the show.
Gotcha. All right, well, in that case,
that's a podcast.
That is a podcast. So, if you would like to join in on the conversation being had on this here podcast, feel free to follow us on Twitter at House of Blurs, Instagram House of Blurs. You can use the hashtag PodIn. That's a now listening hashtag. It lets other people know what you're listening to. Also, it's a great way to find other podcasts by creators of color. You can use the hashtag BlurredPod. That is for us on the show. Let us know what you're watching. Let us know what you think of Tiger King and or what else you're watching. Like what's good out there?
What's going on with you guys?
Yeah, if you found something in the crevices of Netflix, let us know. If it's something you think we should, watch or it's binge worthy. Yeah, hit us up. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/House of Blurs. There you can help sustain this here podcast by making a donation of as little as $1 a month and or more. We have some great giveaways on there to include comics. We're still doing that. Shout outs if you want to check that out, or you can hit us up on PayPal, also House of Blurs. And if you want to drop some donations, you can drop them there too. Make sure to like, rate, subscribe, share this podcast. We are in a time right now where we are going to run out of entertainment because movies are being pushed back. Teach someone else how to find a podcast. Like, there are people out there who don't know how to listen to podcasts, who don't listen to podcasts. Older people, because they really cannot go outside right now. Show them how to download a podcast. Show them how to find a podcast. Introduce them to some things. There's some great podcasts about every single topic out there. So teach somebody else how to listen to podcasts as well. But yeah, so that's all we've got for now. So until next time, take care of yourselves and be good to each other. And stay the fuck in the house.